Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zillner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yes, 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 and yes, Dr. Z. It is always ecstasy when Sorcini is near me, and but he's not near me. He's on Zoom in California. Sorcini, sir, where are you recording from today, sir?
I'm in the valley portion of California, in Los Angeles.
How close did the fire get to your offices?
Ooh, yeah.
There was a fire, not any of the 3 big ones, but at that same time there was a fire, I would say about 1.5 miles away. The Palisades fire was probably about 10 miles from here, and the other 2 fires were about 10 to 15 miles away.
Now, Tom Renz, you're an attorney. A constitutional attorney. It's a controversial idea. Where are you based, and how close did the LA fires get to you?
They were very close. I got my garden hose out because they were within 2,000 miles.
Wow.
I'm in Ohio, and I was concerned that the embers or some of the other California stuff might blow into my yard.
And
Luckily, though, my garden hose was sufficient to keep my house safe.
I promise I have a purpose for this line of questioning. So here we go. Okay. So I think a lot of times we watch geopolitical issues and we think, oh, that doesn't affect me. That's over there. That's not going to affect me. Yeah. So today's show, we're going to talk about something that's going to affect everybody, and it's called the future of money. Okay, so I'm going to play a clip. This clip is old news that came out yesterday, and Andrew Sorcini, in your world, it's probably very relevant. This is Kitco News, and I'll kind of narrate a little bit of what we're hearing, but this is yesterday from Kitco News. Here we go.
Tariff fears and the growing threat of a major trade war continue to dominate the financial markets. And adding to that now is speculation over a gold shortage in London. Now, this is coming from a surge in gold shipments to the U.S. as traders amass a massive $82 billion stockpile in New York. This, according to the Financial Times, by the way. Now, what's the reason? Well, there's concerns over potential tariffs under a second Trump administration are driving investors to move their gold stateside. And the impact is already felt quite rapidly here. I mean, the withdrawal wait times at the Bank of England have skyrocketed from just a few days to as long as 8 weeks as demand for physical gold continues to soar. And people can't get their hands on gold because so much has been shipped to New York and the rest is stuck in the queue. Now, all of this comes as gold begins the week with another record high, with prices now inching closer and closer to the $3,000 an ounce mark on the spot side.
Over 400 metric tons of gold has moved from London to New York. The Financial Times broke this story, and the movement really started back in November during the election cycle with the fear of tariffs.
put the gold, and as crazy as it sounds, Kai, you put it at 142,000 an ounce, and 100% of your liabilities on the U.S.
I'll unpack this real quick. And Z, I'm going to go up to usdebtclock.org. And by the way, Z, it's a great way to entertain family and friends. If you want to keep the conversation light, you pull this up on the big screen. Think about it. The next party you have, you get yourself a charcuterie
It's so
board.
edifying. It's
Get
so
yourself-
uplifting.
You say, guys, come on over, and they go, "What is this?" And
What
you say,
is this?
"Well, this is this is the U.S. debt clock. Don't mind. And just when you look at the profundity of these numbers. So I want to just get into this for a second. So what's happening is the price of gold right now, the price of gold per ounce, according to Kitco and other leading sources that track this on the moment by moment daily basis, we're getting close to 3,000 now. We're at $2,900 an ounce.
Yeah.
When I first started buying gold, it was like $400 an ounce in 2005. It just keeps going up and up and up. And so I want people to really listen to this next part of this clip here. Just really listen, because what's happening is our U.S. debt is so high. It's so massive. That some of the top economists are suggesting that the U.S. Government may decide to just revalue the price of gold and say, gold's $125,000 an ounce. Therefore, our debts are forgiven. We're done now. And it sounds kind of crazy, but some top minds are discussing this. So let me hit play. This is Andy Schechtman speaking.
Sheet would be offset with gold. It would be in the vested interest of all the central banks to revalue gold, because after all, the most powerful bank on the planet, first and foremost, reclassified gold as a tier 1 asset. So the Bank of International Settlements does not do things just for the hell of it. Let's get that first and foremost deep in our brain. It's the most powerful bank on the planet. Why wouldn't they make Bitcoin a tier 1 asset, or SDR, special drawing rights, or something other than gold? Why would the most powerful bank in the world say, by the way, y'all, gold is now a tier 1 reserve asset on par with US treasuries and US dollars? When you see the amount of gold the central banks are buying, it's off the charts. In the month of October and in November, the central banks doubled their 12-month moving average. But they've already been buying more over the last 4 years than anyone has ever seen. But the second part, all these countries, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Argentina, and keep going, you can see it for yourself. Every single one of those countries have repatriated their gold from the Bank of England and the New York Fed. It's interesting. Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, if he gets confirmed, which I'm assuming he will, what's his largest holding? Anyone know? Gold. He has publicly said gold is his largest holding. And all what that would need to be done, as crazy as it sounds, would be for Trump to say to Scott, tell Jerome to revalue gold. No congressional approval needed, and bang, gold is revalued to a level sufficient enough to achieve what he wants to achieve. Now, this is not crazy, y'all. This is not crazy at all. In fact, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would add $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury general account.
Okay, so let's just kind of break that down real quick. You have a man, President Donald J. Trump, right now, who is discussing annexing Greenland and Canada. This is a man who has signed an emergency executive order to end illegal immigration. This is a man who signed an emergency executive order to allow us to drill right away. This is a man who has signed, we'll say, a plethora, a cornucopia, a lot of executive orders. So we'll go back to this gold conversation. So Sorcini, I want to get your thoughts on this. Why are the world's central banks hoarding gold right now?
It's I believe that it's because of the threat of tariffs or the actual tariffs. The last time we saw this was in like early 2000 or early 2000, and here we are again. But it's much bigger this time because these other countries and very, very wealthy people are investing in futures contracts that are backed by gold. And typically you sell those contracts right before it's time to take delivery, and you either make money or have a small loss. But right now they're having the product delivered to the respective countries, and United States is doing that as well. So we've actually beefed up our gold holdings as well.
Now, I am not putting anybody on today's show other than Andrew Sorcini as a gold expert, but I do want to get everybody's thoughts on this because I want to get your thoughts on this. Z, you're an optometrist. Then we'll go to Thomas Renz. Dr. Z, you have basically teamed up with a bunch of guys to purchase a bank, flip it, turn it around, Bank Regent. You built the state's most successful independent optometry clinic. You run the state's top auto auction, or you sold that. I mean, so you've done a lot of things there. Why, just for anybody watching who's maybe not aware, why does the price of gold gold just always go up? Why is it always going up?
It's simple. Things only go up in price, supply and demand. And more people see that as a safe place to put their money because it is continuing to go up. So it's a supply and demand. It's very simple. A lot of people now are putting their assets, their money into gold because gold is going up in value.
So why do guys like you buy hard assets like real estate or gold? Why do people like you do that?
Well, because inflation eats at your money. If you just have cash sitting out there, inflation eats away at that money. So you buy a hard asset, so then you can rise as that asset goes up in value. Your wealth or your money, so to speak, that's in that house or in that gold is also going up, transitionally.
Tom Renz, I want to get your thoughts on this. Why are the world's most sophisticated and wealthy investors, aka the central banks, why are they all in unison hoarding gold?
Well, the world's spoken, right? You've got BRICS and all the nations in BRICS all hoarding gold because BRICS is planning on forming a gold-backed digital currency. I mean, they've got that. That's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all of the nations of the world deciding that they're going to trade on gold-backed currencies. Well, at this point, there's a sufficient threshold of nations and people and population of the planet that have agreed on that I don't really think it's something that it's like the toothpaste. Once it's out of the tube, you can't put it back in there. And we're at a point now where I think everybody recognizes, digital currency is coming. It doesn't really matter whether I like it, you like it, doesn't matter. It's happening. Now, the thing is what is going to be the basis for that digital currency? The nations of the world won't allow that digital currency to be fiat like it was in the past because they don't want America to have the power that America had in the past. So instead, they said, well, listen, we've all got gold, or we all have the ability to get gold. So let's make this kind of international digital currency, international digital exchange thing. Let's make it on something that we can actually measure, something physical, so that you can't just create a trade war based on the value of your currency. So that it's done. It's going to be gold backed. There's going to be digital currency. And, the good news about that is that we, the people, have an out, because as long as we have gold, we can always exchange that for that digital currency.
I'm going to pull this up real quick just to give people some context. So, Z, I'm going to go here to your website. I'm pulling it up, drzellner.com. I'm pulling it up right now. I'm going to pull up stevecurrington.com. I'm going to pull up tomrenz.com. I'm just pulling up different websites so people can see these are real entrepreneurs, real people. I don't think a lot of times people get an opportunity to be in a room with a lot of entrepreneurs. They just don't. And this is how we react to the news. So my mindset, and Steve, I want to get your thoughts on this. My mindset is I just want to have hard assets. I want to have a quarter of my wealth, if I can, tied up in real estate. I want to have a quarter of it tied up in gold. And to me, it's a non-emotional thing because I know that inflation is never going to end during my lifetime. I want to get your thoughts on that, Steve. Why is it that a lot of wealthy people, because you help people get with their mortgages, you help people buy investment properties. Why do wealthy people tend to put their money into real estate and precious metals?
Well, I don't know why they do, but a lot of people that are wealthy own a lot of precious metals and real estate. So it's one of those things where it's like, wonder why these super wealthy people made it by some of its commercial property, some of it's residential.
Yeah.
I've got a friend that owns, 30 or 35 rental properties just in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And, it's a $40,000 a month income that he gets just from real estate, which, by the way, he owns all free and clear. And so over the course of time, you can look at gold and what it's done. And what has it done? It's gone up in value. And the same thing that you're seeing with real estate. So I think it just makes common sense that if I have a history of real estate increasing in value, then it's a good investment for me. So the same thing with gold.
I'm going to pull this back up here because I want people to see this and tap into the wisdom of a few other voices. This is Jim Rickards, very respected man within the world of precious metals. This is a guy, he's also an American lawyer. He's an economist. He graduated from Johns Hopkins University. You'll see him all over the internet. His name is Jim Rickards. He's always talking about fiat currency and the dangers of it. Here we go.
You may have to go back to some kind of gold standard, gold linked, gold backed in some fashion, not because you want to. There's no central bank in the world that wants to go to gold, but they may have to restore confidence. Now, if you do, if you say, okay, we have to get back to some kind of gold system to restore confidence, what would the price of gold have to be to make that system work? Well, we have a lot of historical precedent. There was a real gold standard solid gold standard from 1870 to 1914, modified gold standard from after World War I, say 1919 through World War II, the Bretton Woods standard from 1944 to 1971. So we do have precedent for this. In every case, you don't have to have enough gold to back 100% of the money supply. Some of the hard shell gold bugs say you do, but that's not true. Historically, you need between 20 and 40%. So let's just take 40%. Look at the U.S. money supply, and I use M1 because it's broader than Fed-based money. It includes checking accounts. It's kind of like the money from the banks that drives the real economy. So if you take M1 and take 40% of that and say, okay, that's how much gold I need to back it up, and then say, okay, how much gold do I have? The answer is 8,133 tons. That's how much gold the U.S. has. And just do the math. And this is, as I say, this is seventh grade math. You say, what would the price per ounce have to be for 8,000 tons to back up M1? And the answer is $27,000. By the way, I did the same math not that long ago.
Okay, so again, I want to make sure people understand this. The United States does have gold. When was the last time it was audited? We don't know. Meanwhile, Russia just announced that they now have hit a historic $207 billion of gold they've accumulated. And China has just announced they're finding their largest gold deposit ever. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're all hoarding the Earth's gold. Sorcini, in your mind, Klaus Schwab calls this the Great Reset, this moment we're going through. To me, it feels like we're on the precipice of a financial reset of sorts. And it appears to be as though the BRICS nations are announcing it's going to be a gold-backed programmable currency of some kind. What are you hearing? What are you seeing?
I mean, the trend is that gold is just going to keep running and not stop. Just overnight, it hit $2,943 an ounce. It could hit 3,000 by the end of this week. And I'm now starting to think it could go upwards of 4,000 or 5,000 because I'm reading a word that I first heard from you last week. It's called revaluation. Like they're going to be revaluing gold. And that really could happen. Trump has shaken up the whole world here. And whether or not people believe it here in the United States, the rest of the world believes that gold is the world's currency and that they have to own as much of it as they possibly can.
Now, Tom Renz, I am not looking for a synthesis where we all have to agree. I just want to get your reaction to this. I have a client in Canada. He's been a client of mine forever. And he was joking on the phone the other day. He said, so am I American now or what? And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm coming to your conference. I was just curious, should I wear like a stereotypical Canadian outfit? Or should I do like a Comerica where it's like a blended thing? He's like, guys, I want to get a chance to meet Eric. And I'm feeling more and more like we're going to merge with America. And I said, why would you think that? He said, well, a lot of my high net worth clients who happen to be involved in the government say it looks like it's going to happen. And so I don't know your thoughts on that. If you're excited about adding basically the world's best hockey players to America, if you're excited to annex Justin Bieber, if you're looking for a good deal on Molson, what are your thoughts there, Tom Renz, on Canada and America merging?
Well, I mean, I was a little nervous until you brought up Justin Bieber. Now I'm a fan. Listen, why? Why? I mean, you've got a group of people who have supported Justin Trudeau. I love Canada, and there's some wonderful people up there, and I've tried to help up there a bunch of times. But at the end of the day, as a nation, they don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have a First Amendment. They don't have our Constitution. There are all sorts of issues. Are they gonna just adopt our Constitution? Because I ain't changing mine. I'm going to tell you that right now. We can't manage this country. Why the hell do we want to expand? I mean, look at the problems we're having with corruption in this country. We're going to bring in another country that's equally or more corrupt?
Let me tell you on what we get with it. Now, again, I happen to be a big Bible reader, and I do know that as we get towards the latter times, it does talk about dividing the earth into 10 economic regions. That's Revelation 17, verse 12. That the earth will be divided into 10 economic regions that will all give their power and strength and authority to the beast. So I'm a little bit concerned about breaking the earth into 10 economic regions. But think about it, Renz. Z, think about this. We could get Justin Bieber. He's on our team now.
I'm excited about the Mounties.
We could get the Mounties.
The Mounties. I mean, that's
Jim Carrey.
I've always wanted to be a Mountie.
Jim Carrey could be one of us. And we could say Michael J. Fox. See, for a long time, I've watched Back to the Future and I've thought,
Be an American.
Yeah, he should be an American. It's hard to even watch the movie when you're thinking that in your mind. Think about Celine Dion. I know most people are a little bit alarmed when you say Celine Dion, but we could have her. She could be on our team. Drake. I mean, Drake is what, 80% of pop music right now?
You guys are forgetting about the most important thing.
What is it?
I mean, 80% of the maple syrup comes out of Canada.
Holy
guys. I mean,
crap.
the price of maple syrup is going to go down.
Dr. Z, what's your reaction to this idea of, Trump-tastic potentially teaming up with Canada or annexing Canada?
Well, I think if they do, and I don't see it happening, but I guess it could. So we got to talk about it. But if they become the 51st state, I think that takes care of all the Constitution issues. Because if you're going to become a state, there implies that you're going to roll underneath our Constitution. I mean, we're not going to have a state that doesn't follow our Constitution.
Don't you think we're kind of in a zone right now? Like if you and I rolled into a local bar or restaurant, right?
Okay.
And you and I are talking about Canada merging with America. The average person, though, at the bar or restaurant, they would be thinking, I have a lot of these same thoughts, but I don't say them out loud for fear that I'll be judged. I mean, we're such a crazy world where people, they don't want to chime in and say yes or no, or that's good or that's bad, because it's just so much is changing so fast. I want to go back to you, Renz. I mean, when you hear about this, we're talking about President Trump is sincerely talking about merging Canada and Greenland. He's also talking about ending federal income tax and using tariffs to take the place of federal income tax. He's talking about merging Canada, Greenland into America. I mean, there's a lot going on there, Tom Renz. Just what are your thoughts to this just massive action in the past 15, 20 days?
I got to be honest with you. So my dad had a woodworking shop that he did as a hobby when I was a kid, and he would tell me, measure twice, cut once. Now, we have spent about 7 seconds thinking about annexing, 15% of the world's geographic landmass. I mean, it seems like it's just a little bit listen, I like Trump, obviously. I mean, I support Trump, and I'm sure he's got some good, I can argue that there's all sorts of economic benefits potentially, but I mean, you've got two vastly different cultures. What does that look like for the electorate? I mean, do we really think, is Canada going to be the new California? I mean, where's Greenland? I mean,
that's what I was thinking. Just another Cali.
Steve, Currington.com, you're a mortgage guy. You have a thought on this, Canada being annexed by America?
I mean, selfishly, I feel like it would open up a lot of potential clients for me to do mortgages for, because the way they do it in Canada is a little bit different.
How do they do it up there, Steve? Educate us.
I don't really know 100%, but it's something simple. Well, think about when you go to your local bank and they can't do more than a 5-year mortgage, and then you have to refinance it, because it's, that whole deal. So it's a 60-month deal. It's just a little bit different. So I don't think they can get a 30-year AM, but after 5 years, they have to end up refinancing it or do something like that. So
Morissette. We could get her in the trade.
I kind of agree with what Tom's saying too, is like, hey, why don't we get our country straight before we go bringing in some more problems? Because that Canada,
would the Canadian Football League merge with the NFL? Would that happen too? Would that?
Will we have to speak French?
Can Justin Bieber sing every national anthem?
Merci beaucoup. Yes.
We can get Bieber to sing every national anthem as part of the trade. Okay.
We can add the 51st star could be a maple leaf.
And how do we make fun of Canadians by saying A all the time if now they're part of us?
51st star could be a maple leaf.
Yeah. guys.
I'm pro Canada because there's a major egg shortage and we need to replace eggs with pancakes, and we'll have the maple syrup. I'm in.
I know. It's like, you idiot. Why are you even eating eggs? You need to eat pancakes.
It's the art of the deal.
It's the art of the deal.
He says things that are so far that then people, come back to it and go, listen, just like he said, hey, we're going to go down and take back the canal, right?
Right.
We're going to go back and take that. The canal's ours. And so what? Secretary of State Rubio goes down there, and guess what? We don't take it back, but now we got the contracts and we got a better deal, and they're happy. They're just like, oh goodness, yes, we just, he comes at you hard, and then you're just happy that it's only a half.
So I wonder what the move is then.
What's it after? And then we want to go into some calls to action. Okay, I'm going to say this. Get off my heart. It's on my heart. I want to share this. Okay. And I know that Newsweek about once a month takes clips from my show and puts them out, and they go viral. So I'm thinking about the words I'm saying. I'm just thinking, Tom Renz, maybe you don't agree, I'm just, the more and more I see Rubio on TV recently, the more and more I want to describe him as being fabulous. That's all I'm saying. He's looking more and more fabulous all the time.
He's a stud.
He's getting more and more fabulous. So, Sir Cheney, let's talk about this for a second. Someone's watching today's show and they go, you know what? I've got $500,000 parked in a bank. And you know what I'm doing? It's losing money every day. That's what I'm doing. It's just losing its purchasing power. Somebody says I got $2 million in the bank. It's losing its purchasing power. I've got $100,000 in the bank, purchasing power. The way I look at it is I would encourage everybody just take a set percentage of your income and invest it in precious metals. Don't do it to get rich. Don't buy it now, hoping it goes up tomorrow. Sorchini, what do you say to somebody out there? Because only less than 1% of Americans even invest in precious metals.
It's true. It's kind of like an idea that our grandparents really understood, but after World War II, it skipped the last couple generations. But I think that this generation now is really starting to understand the value of hard assets. And I just tell people very straightforward, even if you hate the idea of owning physical gold and silver, you should have about 5 to 20% of your portfolio be in it just as protection. It's just the thing is people want to see what their investments are doing by looking at their screens. They want to look at their phone, their computer. They want to see how much it's gone up or down. And with hard assets like real estate and with gold, it's not as crystal clear as it is with stocks. But I'll tell you, it doesn't mean that those assets are not valuable. Gold always goes up. One of the most important things about investing is that the trend is your friend. They always go up over time. Maybe not next week, maybe not next month, maybe not even next year, but they always go up over time.
Now, Tom Renz, Z, this is a very memorable. You're a marketing guy, Z.
Yeah.
Tom Renz is an attorney. He's a marketing guy. He's a very good marketing guy, good at public relations. He helps people get the word out there.
Get the word out
about what's happening in their lives, and he helps defend the Constitution by getting the word out there. And this is the domain he's going with right now, Z.
Yeah.
It's catchy. Steve, you're going to love this. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's all I want to do is annex Canada forever and ever. Give us BieberNow.com. That's the domain. It's a catchy one.
To get that.
All I want to do.
The URL.
Yeah, because we were looking at it yesterday and it was already taken.
Well, he did. He parked it. When you go to GoDaddy, you park it.
You park it.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what he was going to do with
smart.
it.
That is so
a
smart.
prophetic thing about a decade ago. He's like, all I want to do is annex Canada forever and ever. Give us BieberNow.com. Is it available? And you go to GoDaddy. So let me just show you how this works. So you go to GoDaddy and you'll put in, this is a tool. You go in there and you just want to see if the domain's available.
Right.
He goes in there and he punches in that URL and it's like crossing the fingers, hope it's available. And boom, it was available. So just to be clear, folks, that's all I want to do is annex Canada forever and ever. Give us BieberNow.com, or you go to TomRenz.com. I really think TomRenz.com is a little difficult to memorize. Tom Renz, tell us, what are you cooking on over there at TomRenz.com, sir?
Well, my new domain is really key. I am a lifetime member of the Justin Bieber fan club.
Who's not?
And he was my favorite boy band hero in my 30s. Because I spent a lot of time on that. Now listen, we're doing a lot. We got the Tom Renz show, of course. We're pushing hard. We're trying to keep an eye on what's happening with everything. I mean, look at how much is happening right now. We've got a lot of things happening. Trump and Musk are rooting out a lot of corruption, but at the same time, we got to keep an eye on this transhumanist issue. And everybody's kind of forgetting about that, right? And we got Bobby, who's probably going to get confirmed. But what we're hearing is that a lot of the people that he wants to bring in are not being brought in, or not going to be able to get in there for whatever reason. So we got to really watch what's going on, because understand the deep state has a lot of tentacles. And of course, we all want Canada and Justin Bieber to be, I hope Bieber is someday president of the United States. I would certainly vote for him twice. But we also need to keep an eye on some of these things related to the transhumanism, the mRNA platform that they now are trying to say they're going to, it's caused the turbo cancer. So now we're going to use mRNA to fix the turbo cancer that the mRNA caused. That seems like a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? We're fighting on all these fronts. We need support though. GiveSendGo.com/RensLaw. We could definitely use some help.
Z, you studied mathematics in college, correct?
Right.
Okay, and so
Really?
they teach in mathematics that 2 negatives equal a positive somehow,
Yes,
right?
correct.
Right?
Yes.
So I was telling my wife the other day, we were driving down the road, and I said, I think the idea of merging AI with mRNA, the COVID shots,
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
two negatives,
Negatives.
and maybe they think positive.
It's math.
Just
You're just using math.
I don't know why you didn't think of this before.
I don't know. I know I'm going to go get 8 boosters this afternoon. Or to quote Fauci, the boosters.
The boosters.
But don't do it until you've connected your brain to Neuralink.
I got to get the boosters.
Connect your brain to Neuralink, then get the boosters. That's See, now that's being proactive. Those are the good steps.
Listen, I'm kidding though. We're talking about Canada maybe annexing it. Maybe we get Bieber. I would love to annex the deep state and bring Fauci into our team because it'd be so fun to have him on the show.
It would.
Dr. Zellner, tell me about your business.
I lost my security detail. How did I get there?
Have you got your booster?
Isn't it such an easy punching bag?
Have you got your booster?
Yeah.
Are you mitigating? Are you staying safe?
Yeah, you need a blue
6
bag.
feet apart. You gotta stay safe.
Yeah.
We should have shut down the border.
Should have shut it.
We should have done the border. We should have.
Wow.
That's the way he throws a pitch is amazing. It's like an Adam Sandler movie. Okay, now Steve Currington, let's go to you, Steve. Final thoughts here. Maybe you don't have final thoughts, Steve, but stevecurrington.com. You're a mortgage guy. You sell death grips. I don't know why on your website you don't say, get your death grip. That would be a no-brainer, Z. Get your death grip.
Who would want to get that?
That's what mortgage means, death grip.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate you saying that. It's
Yeah,
really good for my marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So get
Go to stevecurrington.com and get
Rip
your
of
death
death.
grip, I guess.
Rip of death.
Hey, my rates are higher and it's a death grip. So I don't know.
Death grip and mortgage. This is, a lot of people don't know the meaning of words. You are selling death grips. There you go. It's a mort. And then gauge. Death grip.
Wow.
Mortgage.
Well, hey, if you want a death grip, go to stevecurrington.com. I lived in all 50 states.
That's, and by the way,
Latin.
when you say all 50, are you kind of
Well,
talking
Canada,
about Canada yet? Or
Are you in Puerto Rico? Are you in Puerto Rico? Because it's just the territory.
Yeah, we do Puerto Rico.
Well,
Okay.
then you got to say that. You can lead with that.
all 50 states and
lead with that.
territories.
Okay. Now, again, that's tomrenz.com, or it's easy to remember. It's easier. It's all I want to do is annex Canada forever and ever. Give us BieberNow.com, or you can go to bh-pm.com to learn more about Andrew Sorcini. Just to mix it up a little bit, you go to Dr. Zellner's website and complain about Sorcini, or you can go over to Tom Renz's site and see if you can buy gold, or you can go to stevecurrington.com and get your glasses. I mean, you can have a lot of fun there.
You have a lot. Oh, Canada.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on today's show. I really do appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Tariff fears and the growing threat of a major trade war continue to dominate the financial markets. And adding to that now is speculation over a gold shortage in London. Now, this is coming from a surge in gold shipments to the U.S. as traders amass a massive $82 billion stockpile in New York. This, according to the Financial Times, by the way. Now, what's the reason? Well, there's concerns over potential tariffs under a second Trump administration are driving investors to move their gold stateside. And the impact is already felt quite rapidly here. I mean, the withdrawal wait times at the Bank of England have skyrocketed from just a few days to as long as 8 weeks as demand for physical gold continues to soar. And people can't get their hands on gold because so much has been shipped to New York and the rest is stuck in the queue. Now, all of this comes as gold begins the week with another record high, with prices now inching closer and closer to the $3,000 an ounce mark on the spot side.
Over 400 metric tons of gold has moved from London to New York. The Financial Times broke this story. And the movement really started back in November during the election cycle with the fear of tariffs.
Put the gold, and as crazy as it sounds, Kai, you put it at 142,000 an ounce, and 100% of your liabilities on the U.S. balance sheet would be offset with gold. It would be in the vested interest of all the central banks to revalue gold, because after all, the most powerful bank on the planet, first and foremost, reclassified gold as a tier 1 asset. So the Bank of International Settlements does not do things just for the hell of it. Let's get that first and foremost deep in our brain. It's the most powerful bank on the planet. Why wouldn't they make Bitcoin a tier 1 asset, or SDR, special drawing rights, or something other than gold? Why would the most powerful bank in the world say, by the way, y'all, gold is now a tier 1 reserve asset, on par with U.S. treasuries and U.S. dollars? When you see the amount of gold the central banks are buying, it's off the charts. In the month of October and in November, the central banks doubled their 12-month moving average. But they've already been buying more over the last 4 years than anyone has ever seen. But the second part, all these countries, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Argentina, I can keep going, you can see it for yourself. Every single one of those countries have repatriated their gold from the Bank of England and the New York Fed. You know, it's interesting, Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, if he gets confirmed, which I'm assuming he will, what's his largest holding? Anyone know? Gold. He has publicly said gold is his largest holding. And all what that would need to be done, as crazy as it sounds, would be for Trump to say to Scott, tell Jerome to revalue gold. No congressional approval needed, and bang, gold is revalued to a level sufficient enough to achieve what he wants to achieve. Now, this is not crazy, y'all. This is not crazy at all. In fact, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would add $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury general account.
You may have to go back to some kind of gold standard, gold linked, gold backed in some fashion, not because you want to. There's no central bank in the world that wants to go to gold, but they may have to restore confidence. Now, if you do, if you say, okay, we have to get back to some kind of gold system to restore confidence, what would the price of gold have to be to make that system work? Well, we have a lot of historical precedent. There was a real gold standard solid gold standard from 1870 to 1914, modified gold standard from after World War I, say 1919 through World War II, the Bretton Woods standard from 1944 to 1971. So we do have precedent for this. And in every case, you don't have to have enough gold to back 100% of the money supply. Some of the hard shell gold bugs say you do, but that's not true. Historically, you need between 20 and 40%. So let's just take 40%. Look at the U.S. money supply, and I use M1 because it's broader than Fed-based money. It includes checking accounts. It's kind of like the money from the banks that drives the real economy. So if you take M1 and take 40% of that and say, okay, that's how much gold I need to back it up, and then say, okay, how much gold do I have? The answer is 8,133 tons. That's how much gold the U.S. has. And just do the math. And this is, as I say, this is seventh grade math. What would the price per ounce have to be for 8,000 tons to back up M1? And the answer is $27,000. By the way, I did the same math not that long ago. Well, 7 or 8 years ago. And the answer was closer to $15,000. But the reason it's higher, gold is still gold, but the money supply is a lot bigger. So with the same amount of gold and a larger money supply, you need a higher price per ounce to back up the money supply. And by the way, I spoke to Paul Volcker about this, and he agreed. He said he wasn't advocating for a gold standard, but he said if you had to go back to a gold standard, he just threw his hand in the air and said, oh, the price of gold would be unbelievable. And of course, he's right. So that number, if things kind of remain the way they are and confidence in the dollar remains, we can talk about that, by the way, because there are arrows directed right at the heart of confidence in the dollar having to do with Russian assets in the war in Ukraine.
The Russians backed up what Warren's been saying. A lot of people are going, oh, this currency is not going to be anything. They said it's going to be gold backed. Hello, it's going to be gold backed.
The BRICS group is set to introduce a new currency backed by gold, in contrast to the credit-backed US dollar, with countries lining up to join the growing initiative.
The BRICS countries are planning to introduce a new trading currency which will be backed by gold. More and more countries recently expressed desire to join BRICS.
The nature of money is going to change quite dramatically. The old systems of trust and of ownership will have to adapt radically.
The one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC, and I think also extremely dangerous for central banks. Because ultimately, if you have different units of central bank money with different characteristics, or if you use central bank money as a conduit for economic policies in a very targeted way, or more broadly for social policies, that could really affect the integrity of central bank money and the integrity and independence of central banks. So there are wonderful notions of things that can be done with digital money, but again, I fear that technology could take us to a better place, but equally has the potential to take us to a pretty dark place.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability.
This is Richard Werner, the top academic scholar in the world on central banking. He wrote the book and did the documentary, The Princes of the Yen, about the Japanese central bank. Here he is in Malmo, Sweden, in May.
The nature of this CBDC, what is it actually going to look like? They never talk about that. Right. But I heard one European central banker tell me what it's going to look like. He saw it, and it was around this large and would be implanted under your skin.
CBDC. If that happens, we're done.
They started their CBDC. Maybe we should start having the conversation of, gosh, this looks like the mark of the beast.
COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, even in democratic countries, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
Wallet Moore says the $300 chip is the size of a grain of rice. You'd most likely have it implanted in your hand, and once it's activated, you can use it at a checkout by just swiping your hand over the card reader.
I want people to go read Executive Order 14067. Executive Order 14067, signed by Uncle Joe, the 8th of March of 2022, and it went into effect 13 December 2022.
CBDC. If that happens, we're done.
The old systems of trust and of ownership will have to adapt radically.
China's taken over, and China, I heard a couple of people say, well, the dollar will never lose the dollar standard. Are they kidding?
Now the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have announced plans to develop a new currency.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorcini.
Since my name is Cash, I am constantly worried about inflation. But to secure your cash going forward, buy into gold and silver today. And you know who shares that ethos? Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Go to bh-pm.com today so you can go buy in gold and silver and secure your family's future. bh-pm.com. Call Beverly Hills Precious Metals, get your consultation, buy into gold and silver, just like I'm doing today, and help secure your family's future. Because it's all about educating yourself. And that's the value, whether you go with Beverly Hills Precious Metals or not. It's a free consultation that gives your family options for financial security going into the future. So that's why you should call Beverly Hills PreciousMetals.com for a free consultation today.
Hey, Peter Navarro here with the Taking Back Trump's America podcast and Substack. Great to have Andrew Sorcini, the CEO and founder of Beverly Hills Precious Metals, who I'm proud to have as a sponsor of this podcast and Substack. And what I thought we'd do today is talk with Andrew about what he does and how he might be able to help you, to kind of give you a comfort level about his enterprise. So I want to welcome Andrew. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's start off with, tell us a little bit, you have kind of a unique story. You started out in this business of precious metals at an early age. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up and got attracted to this line of what has become your passion as well as your work, sir.
Well, it started when I was about 12, 13 years old. My parents moved to a property that was across the street from a shopping mall. And back in the early 80s, back then, all us young people used to like to play video games. So I would hop over the back wall, go to the shopping mall, play video games. When I ran out of money, I'd go hang out in the coin shop for a couple hours and watch them transact in gold and silver. And eventually they started offering me little jobs saying, hey, can you sort through these coins? Or could you go pick up lunch? Here's a few bucks, get something for yourself. And when I was 15 years old, they brought me on as an employee. And I worked there for 9 years after that. And I never left the business. Been doing it ever since then.
And what is the nature of the business? I'm an economist, not a financial advisor. I'm not giving people financial advice when we do these podcasts and Substack. But what I am is an economist. And what I know as an economist is that gold, silver, and precious metals generally provide a hedge against inflation, because inflation tends to erode the value of paper money. So tell the folks out here in Trump's country what exactly you do. What is the nature of your business model?
Okay, so what I tend to do these days is educate people on how gold and silver could be a great hedge for your portfolio. And it all goes back to my very first job when I was a kid, working in that coin shop. I asked the boss there, I said, why do people always come in and buy so many of those gold coins? And I remember one guy brought a stack of them back with dirt all over them. And I asked him, how come there's dirt all over those? And he goes, well, Andrew, he buried those in his backyard. And I said, well, why wouldn't he keep it in the bank? He says, people don't trust the banks. And I go, why? And he said, a lot of bad things can happen. He didn't really break it down. But now in 2023, we see inflation.
Inflation.
When demand is greater than supply, either you get shortages or you get price increases. And actually what we had was a mixture of both.
We are in an inflationary spiral.
66% of people polled expect inflation to get worse.
The value of the dollar since I was born has declined by 94% to 6 cents.
We see that our dollar is buying less than it did a year ago. And we're not compensated for that. Like what we make in our jobs and how we earn money typically is not going up fast enough to make what you're losing in depreciation of the dollar.
The dollar is facing a revolt. The world knows it as the king of currencies, but the dominance of the dollar is now under threat. More and more countries are looking for alternatives, and China's yuan is emerging as a clear challenger.
The hedge is to buy precious metals, specifically gold, because over time, gold always goes up. Not in the short term, but long term, it's always up.
And technically, when you talk about the word hedge, as an economist, I can tell our viewers and listeners that what that means is that there's a risk out there that you want to provide a counterbalance against. And we know that economies are prone to inflation, and we know that gold, silver, and precious metals can help hedge against that, because as solid money, as commodity money, they tend to hold their value better than paper money. Now, you actually sell the real deal. You're not giving out certificates or selling stocks and gold shares or anything like that. What do you actually sell, and how do you deliver it to people?
So the way that works is typically people will reach out to us through our website, which we can get into that part a little bit later. But once they submit a consultation request, then we will know at that point that we need to contact them, and we ask them what their goals for owning precious metals are. For some people, there might be someone that just sold a home. Maybe it was an extra home that they had and they just sold it, and they don't want to put a few $100,000 in the bank. They'd rather put it into gold and let it just sit in a safe at their home or office, or even in a depository of our choosing. Once they submit this information, we will call them and explain to them all of the different options. This isn't a high pressure deal. We're never going to tell you that you have to do this today or it's not going to be here tomorrow. Gold and silver have been around for thousands of years. They'll be here later. It's just a matter of will you get the type that you're looking for and how long will it take. But we do send people the physical gold and silver. And that is important. You touch on a great point, because there are certificates out there that people are investing into for gold and silver, and those are oversold many times over. So in other words, it's like a legalized
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff, where if everyone sold on the same day, you couldn't be liquid.
Now I am. I mean, it's like if I'm ordering $100,000 of gold to put in my IRA instead of whatever stocks I might hold, that would make me nervous having that around the house. How do people handle that kind of risk?
Okay, so that's how a big bulk of the transactions we do work. I would say about 60% of the people that reach out to us are rolling over an existing 401k or an IRA into one that holds gold and silver, and it is physical gold and silver. But one rule of that type of transaction is that we cannot send it to your home. It's held in a third-party depository in Delaware, and you receive regular statements. So there's actually 3 entities involved. There's a custodian. So first of all, you might have a 401k with Fidelity. Well, Fidelity would then transfer funds to the custodian that we use, and then we're the broker. So then once the funds transfer over, then we use those funds to purchase gold and silver. Then they have to be stored at the depository, and that's a third entity. Together, that's how you're protected, and it's insured at the depository.
And you have like full insurance at the depository no matter how much is there. It's not like the FDIC only insures up to $250,000. There's full insurance. Is that what I'm hearing here?
I've never heard anyone ask that, and everyone should be asking that. It's I'm actually going to add that into what I talk about when I discuss retirement accounts, because nowadays for people that might be working with 7 figures, you have to spread out over a few different accounts to be covered under FDIC if those funds are really even there. So you're safe with the IRA. It's fully insured.
And if I have to liquidate some or all of my gold, silver, or precious metals, they come back to you?
Yes, the way that works is the bulk of our inventory is stored at the same depository as where the IRA metals are being held at. So it makes the fulfillment and the liquidation process work very fluid. So the way that it would work is, and this happens every week. So someone will call me and say, Andrew, I need $10,000 out of my retirement account. I say, great. I'll go ahead and send you a distribution form, and you fill that out, send it back to me. I'll send you an invoice to sign, and that's a purchase invoice. And as soon as we get the signed documents back and the metals transfer from your depository account into mine, then I wire the funds to the IRA custodian, and then they go and send them to you. It's a very simple process. It can take a week.
Now, one of the things that fascinated me when you and I first had a conversation about this, because of course I carefully vet all my sponsors, you made the observation that people tend to buy silver more than gold, and I was kind of surprised by that. Why? What is, in terms of the amounts of gold versus silver you sell, what's roughly the percentage out of the total, and why is silver sometimes more preferred?
Well, I think 80% of our transactions are silver, but dollar-wise, I think we're selling more gold than silver. But people like silver because it has a better chance to double and triple in price than gold does. And the reason that we would actually have more dollars sold in gold, even though gold is only selling at 20% of the rate that silver is that silver is a lot cheaper. But people all tend to agree that silver can double or triple in the blink of an eye. But gold is the one that's really just solid, always going up, up, up. Silver is volatile. It's actually being manipulated by some of the big banks, like even JP Morgan Chase.
The gold or silver, let's say, that comes, it can either be in bars or coins. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm excited about is that you and I are working together. You're going to do a Make America Great coin that's going to have my picture on it that's going to be available. Can you talk a little bit about that process and when that might be available?
Sure. So we're currently arranging to have that coin produced. There's still a big backlog in coinage being made from the shutdowns of COVID. So there was a huge backlog and a big run on the available gold and silver. So with this, we could still be a couple of months away, but it's going to be a 1 ounce silver coin. It'll be IRA acceptable, which is really important because IRA acceptable meets certain COMEX guidelines, which we're above of what's acceptable for IRAs.
And let me just stop you there quickly, because when you say IRA acceptable, that means your investment retirement account. That's the IRA, and then the COMEX. What is that standard? Is that a federal standard?
That's the exchange of what some of the commodities trade on, and
I see. Okay.
So the IRA custodians need for the gold and silver to really have a certain level of purity, or they won't accept them. For example, a Krugerrand, a gold Krugerrand only has it's only like 0.987 purity. That cannot be in an IRA, even though that's a world recognized gold coin.
That's fascinating, because the Krugerrand kind of cornered the market on name recognition, but you're saying that's not as pure as it needs to be for your retirement accounts. That's fascinating.
Exactly. Your silver coin will get in, and the Krugerrand is out.
To be clear, if you want to go to your site, let me get it and see if I get this right. Your company's called Beverly Hills Precious Metals. So the website people can go to is bh-pm.com, bh-pm.com. And what you can do there is you can go to the site and sign up for a free consultation. Please, when you do that, and they ask you who referred you, just put in Peter Navarro or Navarro, and Andrew will give you what I call the royal MAGA treatment. He'll take really good care of you. So that's bh-pm.com. The promo code for the consultation is Navarro. And let's finish this up just by maybe simulating the process. As I understand it, people will go in and sign up for a free consultation, no pressure, free consultation. And then what happens to that information down the line? Walk me through that process, please.
Sure. So someone will go on our website, and you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number, and just a couple sentences about what you're trying to accomplish. And you could start off by saying, I'm a newbie. I've never invested in gold or silver. Please contact me. So I'm seeing these submissions come in all day long. I send them to my sales team, and we've got 14 different reps that one of them will call you. They'll ask you what you're trying to accomplish specifically. Some people are trying to invest funds that they plan to use in the near future for other investments. So with those, we will handle those differently than, say, a long-term investment. If you say, this is my retirement, and I don't think I'm going to retire for 20 years, then we will set it up differently for you. But the most information that you can give me, the better we can help.
And if it's a short-term investment, how do you handle it differently? I understand with the IRAs, you go into the depository. What do you do if it's just kind of a shorter term investment where people might need it 3 months, 6 months, or whenever?
Sure. So I had a lady the other day or a while back that said, I want to do 100,000 in silver. And I said, okay, how quickly will you need these funds? She said 6 months at the most, probably a lot sooner. And I said, oh no, don't do the silver. And she said, why? I said, silver has 20% swings. You could end up selling it back to me for 20% more than you bought it for, but likely you will be selling it back for 20% less than what you paid for.
Yeah.
And she said, well, then are you saying silver's not good? I go, no, it's just silver's a long-term hold, 2 to 5 years minimum. She goes, then are you saying I should do gold? And I said, absolutely. She goes, will I make any money on gold? I go, probably not. And she goes, well, then why would that be good in the short term? I told her physical gold and silver is not meant to be something that could generate a profit in the short term. It's more of a way to preserve your wealth. And that's what she wanted. She wanted to get it out of the bank until she could put that with other money to go into a real estate deal. And I insisted she do the gold. And she said she wasn't going to sell it in less than 6 months. And let me tell you, she did sell in less than 6 months. Had she done the silver, she would have lost like 20%, just like I told her she would.
Yeah.
And with the gold, she just broke even, and that's fine.
You know, I'm so glad you made that point. I'm so glad you made that point because it's total transparency. It's gold and silver are a hedge against inflation primarily. They're not these speculative instruments where you're swinging for the fences and expecting to get rich quick. So I'm really glad you pointed that out because I think that's what's the important part. The people that are going to be most interested in this are going to be people who want to preserve their wealth in an inflationary time, and that's exactly what we have. And as an economist, when I'm looking in the crystal ball, it looks like that's going to go on for a very long time. But look, Andrew, I think you've done a great job. I want to thank you for being on the Taking Back Trump's America podcast and Substack. Please, if you're interested in this, go to bh-pm.com. That's Beverly Hills Precious Metals, bh-pm.com. Tell them Peter Navarro sent you. You get your free consultation. And then what happens then is up to you and you alone. Peter Navarro, out.
When people go to bh-pm.com, they can schedule a free consultation. You're talking about going from the intangible into the tangible.
If you can't hold it in your hand, then it's not yours. You don't own it. You can physically hold actual gold and silver. It ships fully insured directly to your home.
Inflation rates are going to continue to rise. Don't wait. Don't keep putting off decisions that you know you must make.